So welcome everybody, thank you for coming. And it's just a way for us to be able to share some of the great things that are going on with careers advice in the built environment and construction industries. Because I think the construction industry is really leading the way, particularly with things like virtual work experience. We've got some real experts on the call to talk about that. So I'm just going to go around in turn and introduce you. And if you just want to say a little bit about what you do and what you're currently doing to help with careers advice for secondary schools, that'd be fantastic. And I'm going to start with Helen Clements from Morgan Sindall.
Hi, so as Helen has said, I'm Helen and I work for Morgan Sindall Construction across the east of England, which is Cambridge, Norfolk, Suffolk and Essex. We actively work with as many of the schools as we can in those areas, particularly ones that are near our projects or our offices. So we've got an office in Chelmsford, one in Sawston, one in Norwich and one in Ipswich, and we support schools with activities that they are delivering that need an employer. So things like, I don't know, enterprise days, mock interviews, anything linked to employability. Schools are near our projects, we offer site visits to, and we also offer work experiences, which is probably currently our biggest offer that we've got, because site visits are sort of on hold due to COVID, and we're offering virtual work experience, which is available to any of the schools through the Speakers for Schools platform.
Great, thank you. That's a very good whistle-stop tour of what's happening in Morgan Sindall. Okay, I'm going to go over to June Wilkinson from BAM Construction now.
Thank you, Helen. So June Wilkinson from BAM Construction. I'm the Education and Community Coordinator for the South East region, and that covers everything from Norfolk, in a bit of a triangle, from Norfolk down through Buckinghamshire, down to Southampton, and then out through the southern counties, round through to Kent. London is its own region, but we have a one of me in that region as well. We have one of me in each region, so you know we do cover the whole country. Our offering to schools is probably very similar to Natalie and Helen as well, in that we offer where we've got projects, we will offer site visits, we will offer physical work experience for students that are interested in getting into construction. But we will also offer employability support, so mock interviews, but also supporting the Gatsby benchmarks around linking careers into the world of work, meaningful work placements, you know, all of those sort of Gatsby benchmarks that employers can support you with, we will do. And like Helen as well, we have a virtual work experience offering through Speakers for Schools, and we found that to be very successful. We've been doing some virtual site visits as well for some schools and colleges where, you know, they're linking that into their curriculum as well. So I think, you know, I always say to schools, always ask. You know, we're here to support you. You know, it's part of our social value, it's part of our community engagement. There's no difficult ask. We will try to support you if it's near one of our projects, or indeed near one of our offices. Our head office is in Hemel Hempstead, and our southeast regional office has just moved to Hemel Hempstead as well. So we've got a good covering across the region.
Yeah, I think that really highlights how lucky we are, really. I guess construction is a nationwide thing, but we're really lucky in this region. We've got so many good companies, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to present this to schools locally, because I think perhaps teachers and certainly students won't be aware of the fantastic range of opportunities there are available, because there are so many sort of myths and stereotypes around the business and the sector. And earlier on today, we ran a webinar for female students, which has been recorded, and we had sort of a lot of early career women talking about their jobs, which are really sort of very different, and their sort of roots in, and some of them have done apprenticeships, and some of them come in from the sort of university route. So it really does sort of highlight how many different ways there are in a construction career. So Yeah, thanks, June. That's really helpful. We've got Natalie Sidey, who's from Wilmot Dixon. Do you want to take away, you know, what you've been up to over there?
Yeah, of course, Helen. So hello, everyone. I'm Natalie Sidey. I work for Wilmot Dixon out of the office based in Hitchin, which is London and East region. The region that our offices cover is Hertfordshire, Bedfordshire, Buckinghamshire, East London, Norfolk, Suffolk, Cambridgeshire, and anything else kind of, and we're focusing because we've got an office in Chelmsford as well. So Essex is also part of my area. So historically in Hertfordshire, we are a cornerstone employer as well through the Careers and Enterprise Company. So hence why I know Helen reasonably well. And we're often at the same meetings, but I think what we're offering, and we've tried to do quite a lot of focus around the Gatsby benchmarks, because I'm an employer advisor for one of our local schools as well. But we too, pretty much like BAM and Morgan Sindall, are offering very similar things. When we've got projects in the area, we can offer that on-site experience. We've done a lot of work across colleges as well, where we have offered T-level pilot schemes and things like that to support those qualifications that are coming through. Mentoring is something that I've personally been quite heavily involved in and had some real success with some young people, you know, across Hertfordshire. And virtual work experience we've run nationally, and probably during the half term, I personally ran one which had 34 young people on it, which was for me an incredibly rewarding experience, because not being able to see people face to face has been a challenge, I think, probably for us all, and bending our head around coming up with a concept that we can all deliver as construction professionals to young people and get that experience. But it's more the experience that they can have, and they can engage with people coming into those calls who are actually doing those jobs. And the more people they hear from, the greater their knowledge, and it expands what is possible for them all, and that they could really consider some of those opportunities that they may never have even thought of even existed. So I think between the three employers that you've got on here, we cover a huge range of different disciplines. We have all kinds of connections, and I think often we've we have collaborated. I often see people at different events, and I've met Helen and obviously June, and we've done different things together in the past. So yes, there's competition probably between us, and I would say that in the nicest possible way, but actually I think for us, we're all about trying to engage all young people to think about construction differently, whoever that might be with. So I think our overall thing is to try and change the perception of construction as well, which I think can be challenging in schools still. But we've just launched a new set of posters and careers posters that are about our people, and so that they're much more relatable to be shared across our schools, across Hertfordshire in particular. And I think we've got a set of things we call building blocks where we can go and deliver enrichment programs. We've done engineering days in schools. It's about them trying to see where curriculum subjects also relate to certain job roles. And I think we're doing some pieces as a cornerstone employer on some of those with some of our individual schools. So yeah, I love construction. So I come from an education background. So yeah, it's for me, it's not a smooth transition, but construction offers things that I never thought it could offer. So it's a very happy place for me.
And it comes across really strongly.
Yeah, and I sort of think all three of us are actually saying the same thing. Come and ask us. There's normally one of two on, which are, you know, yes or no, and it's normally down to resource when we have to say no. And we all support Gatsby benchmarks, and we want to help if we can. And I think even though we are all in competition, our actual overall goal as an industry is to change the diversity of who's joining us. And I'd be really interested to hear how BAM and Wilmot Dixon do around, we don't naturally attract physically disabled people. They don't, we offer virtual work experience. There are no barriers to that. Yeah, and we're still not getting those young people. So one of the messages I have to schools is, please encourage any young person to consider our industry, even if it's to do the work experience, and say, actually, it's not for us, but at least give them the opportunity to find out what we're offering. you know, I think all three of us are using speakers for schools to advertise our vacancies. So actually young people, you know, our industry is calling out for you. We want you. We're one of the most exciting industries to work in because we leave a legacy. So when you are old and retire, and I know that seems a lifetime away for them all, but actually they'll still be able to go and see their work. You know, there's not many industries that get that opportunity to show off what they did back in, you know, when they were 20. And for me, that's a really key message. You know, we'll have the biggest impact on the environment. There's not going to be many other job roles which will have the impact on carbon that our industry will have. It's probably one of the biggest industries to have the most dramatic change over the next 10 years. Whether it likes it or not, it's going to have to change. So actually, you know, it's so exciting. And I know I echo what June and Natalie would say. And, you know, it could be, we are really one person divvied up into three. So, you know, you're really lucky that you've got so many people on your doorstep that can help.
Yeah, I think absolutely right, Helen, because as the industry and all three of us as businesses have got the whole digital side of things, which probably 10 years ago, no one ever saw that coming. So actually that opens up a wealth of opportunity from you sitting in your bedroom on your Xbox and your PlayStation. Those kind of softwares and things like that have all been developed and now they're being used across our industry by all of us. And I think there's something for everybody within construction, and that's the key thing. And you know, Helen said about the sustainability issues and how we're going to make a massive impact. And if you think about the last year that we've all had, our industry has kept going, and because I think it just proves how instrumental we are as part of the economy and what the impact we have on the economy and moving it forward as well. So I think all round it's a great place to be, and I think the future holds such opportunity and such development that it's exciting.
I'd agree with you with that. And I think the thing is that the thing I would be saying to students and to careers leads is there's so much variety within the industry. You know, there's something like 160 plus different roles in the construction, but you've probably experienced it as well. When we ask students what jobs are in construction, we get architect and bricklayer. You might get the occasional QS or engineer, but there's so much more. You know, we go from everything from social media, marketing, press officer, HR, you know, there's all of those roles as well, legal department, as well as engineers, people on site, but people often only see the people on site. They don't see all the work that goes on in the background as well. And there's opportunities to come in at all sorts of levels, you know, whether it's at very entry level or right up through to graduate level. There are apprenticeships across the board. So I think that's the thing that I'd like to get over to schools, is that don't dismiss the construction industry. One of the students one of the young ladies this morning said that we asked her if she'd had any comments when she had declared to her family that she wanted to go into construction, and one of the comments was, what do you want to do that for? You're a bright young lady. And you know, we want to dispel these stereotypes that actually, you know, we need very intelligent people to be building our high-rise buildings and building our bridges and things like that. They have to be intelligent people. So I think, you know, please don't dismiss females or people that have good grades coming into construction. There's a fantastic careers for them and lots of progression. You know, you can start as an apprentice and end up being a director of a company. So I think that's the thing I would say to careers leads. Just, you know, explore the opportunities. You know, let Helen, Natalie and I at your students, you know, we'll do a good job at trying to convince them to come into our industry.
In fact, it's not that difficult once they're with us. I know from my work experience week, you know, I think we've had 150 students go through it that I've personally been involved with. That's what my colleagues have been involved with. And out of that 150, I've only had 2 that don't want to come into the sector. So I'm more than happy with that. And what we're finding through the virtual work experience, which we definitely weren't getting in the in-person, partly because we can't do the volume in the in-person, is diversity. It's just amazing. You know, we're getting 52% women apply, you know, on these things. We're getting 33% BAME. So that's absolutely, you know, that's exactly what the industry wants. And once they're with us, we know they'll meet enough of our colleagues to want to come in and join us. And I don't know what it's like for you other two, but they are filling our vacancies across the east of England. You know, 70% of our entry-level roles, which are degree-level apprenticeships, are young people that have had some form of educational engagement with us, and 60% of them have done work experience. So, you know, and they're coming into good job roles, you know, starting salary of 18k, company car on day one of being an apprentice. Who wouldn't want to do that? Do you know what I mean? It's an amazing opportunity, and that's without you know, 26 days paid holiday and the opportunity to buy another week. Laptop, mobile, which, you know, we're all fairly much similar offers because we all compete with each other and we want the best people. So, you know, and that's degree is paid for fully. The travel to that degree is paid for fully. And I know I'm talking for all three of us, and it's the same for the graduate. You know, they'll get additional training on top of that. They'll do a rotation, so they decide which apprenticeship, which role they want to end up in. And I know we're all the same. We're all doing those same sorts of roles. So, you know, there's so much opportunity out there for these young people. I think the industry has 10% of the workforce, of UK's workforce, in it. It's not an industry that's going to go away, because people are always going to need a building to live in, to go to work in, to go and do leisure in, yeah, to you know, go and learn in. You're all coming from education, so there's, you know, we're all living in a building now, so it's yeah, I can't sing its praises. I am #love construction. Cut me in half. It's in there.
You're all very, yeah, I mean, the passion that comes out is palpable. It's fantastic. So can I just check, so you're all looking at year 10s for virtual work experience, is that right?
Yeah, so year 10s, so I think the ones that we've run have been aimed at year 10. So I think we've had 14-year-olds to 18-year-olds probably attending most of ours.
Which is the same for us. So ours are open year 10 to year 13.
Yeah.
Yep. And when I say open year 10 to 13, I mean year 10 to 13, and I mean all students. Yeah. It doesn't matter about ability. It's about those soft skills. Can they do teamwork? Can they do communication? Can they access a laptop with a working mic? That's the minimum I need. It's preferential if they have a camera, but that's not the life-threatening bit. But not having a mic is like, it's imperative for our week. They won't get the same out of it if they don't have those two things. But apart from that restriction, there is nothing to stop young people.
I don't know whether, Helen, you'll probably say and agree with the virtual work experience that you've done and I've run, and probably June has, that the journey that it sounds really strange, because initially when we've said to our people we're going to be running virtual work experience, they're like, well, how's that going to actually help? What's that going to do? And so that's people within our industry, and I think they've been amazed when they've come on and they've met the young people. They've been amazed at the impact that they can have from Monday to Friday, and the difference you see in those young people in 5 days is absolutely phenomenal. I've genuinely I was blown away by the level of presentation. They're given a project on the Tuesday of ours, and they'd have to deliver it on the Thursday. The presentations were better than some of the things that I've seen other people do. and because they were in tune with all the tech and everything else, and so from that alone, and the skills that they learn in a 5-day period are amazing. And as long as they're making use of those on the CVs, and actually it's about how they sell themselves, and I think they learn that during that course of that week. And you can see, and I think we would all agree, that you can see the change from Monday to Friday, and that's what's rewarding about our jobs. I think that you can influence and help influence that change. So it's great.
I think the beauty of the virtual world is actually that you can take these students from wherever in the region that they happen to be. You don't have to have local students, so it's people who are really interested, but also that they can cover so much more in a week virtually. And it is real life, because this is how we work at the moment, but you're able to cover all those employability skills and presentation skills. And I suspect that if they were actually coming into your workplaces, they'd be shimmied around from department to department. I think it would be a lot patchier. I think you're able to sort of make the schedule a lot more meaningful, aren't you? Because of the way you can section up the time, and they get to meet different people at different times. So they get a really good sort of cross-section of what the business looks like, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And one of the things I think, and I don't know how you guys run yours, but we mix, so we don't have students all from one school. We mix the students up from across the country, yes. So I living in the east of England, we're not a terribly diverse region. And in fact, we're, not that diverse at all. But by going national, what's happening is these young people are making friends, and they are seeing anybody and everything. And that means that they are then more open to, oh, right, okay, so you look like me. That means that I must be in the right place. Whereas if they came to my office, so our program is fairly similar in the traditional world, but we just running cohorts of 10, and they are from the schools that can get to our office. So clearly our catchment is much smaller, and therefore they don't see that diversity is acceptable, because they're not looking at a diverse group. And for me, the virtual is going to stay part of our world. It will be our first sift of students. So, if I can see 45, well, in fact, we're looking at doing one in April, and between me and my colleague, I think we're hoping to get 100 on the programme in one go. Goodness knows whether I'll have any dark hair left by the end of that, because under here somewhere, you can see the roots are coming through. There is some dark hair there. But what that gives us is a much bigger pool of young people. And then those that are really interested get the opportunity to follow up. And when the world allows, they will be able to come and do in-person placements. And when they come and do those in person, they will be able to be much more confident to ask the questions for when they're doing those more traditional work shadow placements, and they have some idea of perhaps which role. And I don't know about Natalie and June, but we include our subcontractors as well, and our consultants. So actually they're not just learning about our business, they've got opportunities with other businesses. So it's a win-win. And there is research out there that says young people that do work experience are going to 75% more likely to go into full-time employment and earn 25% more than the peers that don't do it. So from an education's point of view, please promote our opportunities to your young people. We are being mindful of education and the strains that you're all under, and I'm sure most of us are offering our weeks out of term time at the moment for that reason. We just encourage you to encourage your young people to want to apply for them, because that is their first stepping stone into our industry.
Yeah, it's opened up a whole new world, I think, for all of us, I think, as contractors, definitely. And I think it is, as Helen said, it's that first sift. And from the one that I ran, I met an incredible young woman who a year ago, she's in year 13 now, she was looking at going into medicine, and actually then said, no, I'm actually all about people. I need to be in an environment that is involved, that thinks about the people. And I think as businesses, without the right kind of people, all of us don't have a successful industry. It's our people that make our businesses successful. It's the way we communicate, and without clear communication, nothing would ever happen in construction either. So these key skills, and she was phenomenal. Unfortunately, she's applying for an internal vacancy through a management trainee scheme. So it's actually brilliant, but it's making sure that we're all positioning these things at the right times of year, and we get into people that we could have never have possibly got to before. And I think there's some work to be done. Probably we've all got different experiences of speakers for schools, and some things that still need to be tweaked, and it, because we're all still learning. But I think it is here to stay, and I totally agree with you, Helen. And it is here to stay, and just make the most of those opportunities and really get that offering out there, because they learn so much.
I think one thing I want to hear, one thing that I keep hearing as a barrier that why schools aren't promoting it, and I could be talking out of turn, and I mean no offence to education on this, is that they are worrying about screen fatigue.
Yeah.
Okay, that is not my experience at all. Young people are on the screen whether they're doing education or whether they're doing an electronic device. Yeah, and I think what my experience is that the young people are loving that they are working with other young people on something that isn't necessarily obvious education, but actually gives them all the skills that they are going to use in education. And I'm getting feedback now. One of my schools make sure they have students on every one of our programs, and she's saying to me now that that's now impacting in the classroom, because students are now better engaging in the virtual platform for learning, because they've now realised actually if we don't communicate with each other, we get nothing out of it. And if we don't have our, use the chat function, if we're not using this, actually you'll find it impacts in a positive way in education as well, and your students' confidence levels will grow so much through any one of our programs.
I think it's important to know that it's not all doom and gloom, and actually there are opportunities out there, and that's a really important point. I want to bring in Kirsty and Carla here, if you're able to join in, because Kirsty and Carla are from the Construction Industry Training Board. So you've also got lots of resources available, and the Go Construct site is obviously a huge. There's lots of resources on there. Kirsty, are you able to tell us a little bit about what you offer to schools?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Kirsty from CITB. I am the Products and Services Coordinator. The main thing that we offer is an ambassador program, which is open to all schools across the country, and who are interested in learning more about the construction industry from our industry experts. We currently have 107 ambassadors, and we're looking to grow that number by an additional 300 by June. And in conjunction with that, obviously, we offer all of the services on our Go Construction site as well. So yeah, together, that's our product.
Great, thank you. And I guess a lot of the members of CITB are obviously in companies like the ones represented here, aren't they, Kirsty?
Yeah, we have such a wide range of ambassadors, because we have people who are tutors at colleges. We have people who work in the construction industry. We have sales reps. We have a mix of everything. So it's very diverse, but I think that's why it works so well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? There's an awful lot of information out there that we share. It's quite nice if you can bring sort of things together. But I think the construction sector is one sector which really does work together quite well to highlight the opportunities for young people, which is, you don't always get that in other sectors. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to really highlight this during National Careers Week for everybody. And so I'm going to wrap up.
Oh, I was just going to say that if schools want support in any way, then they can go through CITB and yourselves, if they've got a request, and those requests will go out to construction ambassadors that are also linked up with STEM, so that they will get requests and to support. So if schools are looking for help, you don't have to just come to Helen, Natalie and I, because we might not be available. As Helen said at the top of her talk, that it is resource dependent, but there are other contractors, there are lots of ambassadors out there. So if you want to put a request in, it will probably come to one of us in our industry, in our company anyway, but there are other companies out there as well in true BBC fashion. Just put in those requests and it will get to somebody.
That's a good point, actually, Gina. And am I right in thinking, so when you see a local, there's a building project going on in your town, so for example in Stevenage where I live, there's a new bus station that's being put together, and they're changing where the bus station is, and that's Walmart Dixon that are running that. So if I was a teacher in a school and I see that it's in the local paper and am I right in thinking that local schools are going to, you're interested in working with local schools to raise awareness of those local projects? Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of my projects, Helen.
Right, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, no, so we're already, and because fortunately, I think I'm quite heavily focused in Hertfordshire. I only live in the same town. So it's kind of, I'm familiar with a lot of, and I used to be an educator within that same borough as well, so I'm very familiar with a lot of the schools, and I think our offering out there is to just say, you reach out to, because it is a little bit about teamwork, because sometimes as an employer we know what we can offer, but as June said, we can adapt and we can manipulate certain programs to suit certain people. Helen's saying, about it, this is an all-inclusive, and work experience in particular is inclusive, and there are no barrier. Anyone can access that. It isn't the same sometimes as physical work experience, but actually by meeting those people, maybe we can start to change some things about how we approach things. So we have learning as well from the education sort of teams out there and the schools and the teachers, and we've run teacher insight days which have been hugely successful, because teachers don't realize what the industry can offer. So actually, and I think that's gone on across probably all of our businesses, that kind of teacher interaction. So them to reach out and say, could we come and see this? Could we come and do, they're great things. Yes, of course, when we're fully open, obviously these things can happen. But in the meantime, in our virtual world, there's still plenty that we can all offer.
Yeah, and one of my tips to education, if you go past a site that has a CCS, so considerate constructor banner, right, they have some boxes that they need to tick to get their points on considerate constructor. So please, if you see that banner on a site, go to the site. There will be the site manager's contact details on them. Badger them. Yeah, they need to do something to support their local neighbourhood. Yeah, if you're at a school within that local neighbourhood, you are that person that they want to help. And that's my tip I give to every school or every educator I come across, because we won't always be in your area and we won't always be able to help you. And that's one of the challenges our industry has. Like I know on my patch, I do stuff that are near my offices because they don't move. They're there all the year, every year. But my projects move from one location to another, and because of resources, I can't move around with it. But there will be a company in your town that has that considerate constructor banner hanging on it, and they're the ones to go and chat up. All right, and that's after you've chatted all of us up, because we like first refusal, don't we, ladies?
Yes, we do, Helen.
Definitely.
Yes, we do.
And there might even be a bit of local competition as well between us.
We need to work together, don't we? That's the challenge.
We do.
Well, that's why it's so brilliant to have you all in, as it were, a virtual room like this together, because I think it really does show how the industry is working together and offering education a really good and strong sort of cohesive offer of what's available for young people. So we're coming up to about 40 minutes now. So I think unless anybody has got any final comments to make,
no,
are we all good? Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll make this available to teachers. And actually, I think there's a lot here that young people would find interesting as well. So we'll make this available afterwards. But thank you so much for. Oh, sorry, Carla.
That's okay. I'm not too sure if you can hear me. Hi, Julianne. Thank you for inviting me. Nice to meet everybody else who's come along. Just one little comment. I'm not too sure. I think it's the lady from BAM. I think which lady that is.
June, yeah.
I think she said, hiya, to send requests through Construct. We have now moved to STEM. We do obviously still deliver free resources and guidance for the youngsters, but the requests go through STEM now for all the schools, and we guide them into that area.
Yeah, so the link up is if you've been a construction ambassador before, you've now moved over onto STEM. So
we have informed all our
So yeah, I did link it in. I did say construct, you know, CITB, and then the STEM.
Sorry, I didn't
Yeah,
put
no, that's okay.
Yeah, no, we're the STEM Ambassador Hub for the East of England, but there will be obviously STEM Ambassador Hubs that cover STEM ambassadors in construction all over the country. And, you know, you'll get somebody who will be able to, and once the two, the construction ambassadors join forces, I think that'd be a really strong offer. And we'll be able to get sort of ambassadors and volunteers. That's great. Thank you so much, everybody. Really inspirational. I wish I was young enough to apply myself now. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a good evening.
Yeah, take
Thank
care.
you for inviting us.
Nice to see you both.
Bye.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, see
Take
you.
care. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye bye.